Hi, Stampers. Welcome. This is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations here with today's live. And as promised, today we are doing the pop-up pillar, like a cross. That's the cross, but this one's the pop-up pillar. There were two different styles I found. Someone asked me if I would do the cross pop-up card, and I didn't know what that was. I went and searched YouTube and Pinterest and found, of course, lots of them. I don't know who originally started out with it. I think Brandy Barnard did the pop-up one. I can't remember who did this one, but I did this one last Monday where it's kind of a shutter card. And you could even do this just by scoring and not cutting out this side and just laying a piece of cardstock over the top and making the cross member without doing the underneath cuts. But that was what I did last Monday. And so that was one of the ones I found. And this pop-up was the other. And originally when she did it, it was just on the bottom card. It didn't have the base of the actual full size 4¼ by 5½. And so that's the one that I decided to follow because I didn't like the little bitty base that it had. It had to have the smaller base because when the cross folds down, it kind of extends over. But I liked having this underneath it when it did that. So that's the one we're doing today. Hopefully you are able to follow along with me and understand how it's made. So let's move down to my desk and we'll get started. Okay, so I've got it here in two different colors. This one is done in Petunia Pop, and this one's done in Pretty Peacock. They're both similar. The one that I did last time, I used designer series paper for the back, and this time I used pecan pie. I wanted to show both versions. I do love it both ways, whether you wanted to make it look like wood or you just wanted it to be pretty. When I said I would mail it flat, and I kind of just instantly went this way, and somebody else said mail it this way so that the message is hidden. That was a good point I hadn't thought of. I didn't think quick enough on the fly, I guess. But it does fold flat and go into the envelope. The girl that I saw doing it said to do it this way and stick it in the envelope that way, but I think it would just be way too thick. I don't think the post office would like the lump in the middle. So congratulations to Laura Kemp and to Mary Schreiber. You are our winners for the last two lives that I did, one of them being that cross and the other one being this adorable little action wobble cow. So please go to my website, queenbeecreations.net/prize patrol and give me your address where you would. Okay, you can get in on trying to win today's card by liking and sharing the video and then putting in the comments that you did as such. And then you get entered into the drawing to possibly win today's card. So I have lots of pieces. That's going to be the most complicated part of this entire card is there's just lots of pieces. And I actually changed it a little bit from the one I saw. The one I saw, she had done different sizes for these two. It didn't go up as high as mine does, but I wanted to make these four the same size. To me, it was just simpler if I was cutting the same size rather than different ones. So that's what I'm doing here. So this one is, excuse me, 5¼ by 5¼ and then it is scored at 1 inch, 2 inch, 3¼ and 4¼ and what that means is this is a 1 inch, 1 inch, 1¼ 1 inch and 1 inch. Okay, so to go inside of that, of course, we're going to go down 1/8 of an inch. So this is 7/8 by 5 1/8. And again, there's 4 of them. If you don't want to do this extra layer, you don't have to. You can just go straight to the designer series paper, 3/4 inch by 5. It's still going to work. It's still going to be gorgeous. It just won't have that extra pop of white underneath, but it's going to give you those even 1/4 inches that people like. So you can do that either way. I chose to use this what is it called? Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper. We have a couple different ones. There's Thoughtful Journey. There's Splendid Autumn. There's another one, something about sky. There's several that we have that are like these designs that are gorgeous. And they're just pretty watercolor backgrounds that I thought just made a good backdrop for the cross. But you can do this in any designer series paper that you wish. It's still all going to work. Okay, of course we have the standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We have our inside layer, 5 1/4 by 4. That's going to go in here. I had some leftover strips of the designer series paper, so this is just 1/2 inch. I'll trim it down to fit. That's just going to be an accent. For the outside, I just chose to do this one, which is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So it's a little bit smaller border than normal, but it's going to give us the even border around this. Okay. And I like the little accent on the side. I suppose there's no reason why you couldn't just do this way. You're just going to have this, Blackberry Bliss extra on the side. The one that I saw do this, she had used one of our retired dies that was a little bit wider here. And so it did more design. You'll find once we put this on, there's kind of going to be a white space, which is pretty. But if that white space bothers you, there's no reason why you couldn't, stamp the greeting along here or add some embellishment, maybe tie a ribbon around there. There are ways that you can use up that blank space, or you can center it a little more on the card rather than pushing it all the way to the left. So try to get creative with it. Everybody kind of tends to follow things exactly the way I do. And while that's flattering, there's still lots of ways that you can do this based on the supplies and the skills that you have. Okay, the center cross piece, this is 5 1/8 by 1 1/8. So this is 1 by 5. This white here is 1 1/8 by 3 1/8. So this is 1 by 3. I went ahead and dry embossed it using our timber embossing folder so that it would look like wood. The dies I used on the edge, I used this one out of our new edgelet dies. This is one of our new online exclusives. And I saved the extra piece. When I die cut it, I had this extra piece, and I thought, that's actually going to be really pretty. And we could even, glue that down and put this one on with a gap in between, trim off some over here. And there's lots of things we can do with that extra little piece. Used on a card by itself or coordinate with this one. Fun stuff. But let's go ahead and get started on putting our card together. I always start out by trying to just piece together things that are easy enough to just put together, because that gives me less pieces on my desk to worry about losing. This is a very small border, so a lot of you may want to use liquid glue because that's going to give you your wiggle time so that you can move it around and position it where you want it to be before it becomes permanent. And I'll do that on my little pieces. But I'm going to go ahead and do this with seal. I like the Stampin' seal because it does such an instant adhere. Okay. So now we're just worrying about this part here. I mean, this was easy enough, right? just simply adding layers. So our pop-up mechanism is this piece here. So I started with a valley, a mountain, and a valley. But then I'm going to kind of flatten it back out because this is going to be easier for me to decorate if I lay it flat. Okay, and then of course I did mention my designer series paper is a pattern. So I'm trying to follow along the pattern so that it is all in order. Sorry, my voice is still a little hoarse. Okay, so again, liquid glue is going to give me that time where I can set it on and wiggle it around with my fingers until I know I'm even. I'm also making sure I'm not using very much glue. You do not need very much of this stuff. It is very strong. I'm just trying to make sure I've got it kind of on the corners and the edges so that it does give a nice smooth edge, I guess. I don't want the corners to lift. Okay. Did anybody else try the card that I did last Monday? And how did it come out? If you ever have, challenges putting one of my cards together, please feel free to, watch the video again or message me. I'm more than happy to help out. I want you to be successful in your card making. That's always my goal. This looks like I'm putting lots and lots of glue on it, but I'm not. They're very, very thin lines. I have not yet written a PDF tutorial for this or done graphics. Is that something you guys are interested in purchasing if I was to make a PDF of these two cards? Of course, by being on my team, you get all my tutorials for free, other than the books, but any of my tutorial sets or online classes, you get all the tutorials for free as being part of my team. Okay, so there's the designer series paper attached. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach the wood pieces for our cross. And we're making good time. Look, we're only 15 minutes into this and we're almost done. Sometimes I feel guilty that my videos are not as long as everybody else's. I don't know what they're doing that makes them take an hour long, but does it feel like I go too fast? Are you getting confused? Okay, now this one I'm going to put onto the white, but I'm not going to attach it to my card yet. I think this one's going to be easier to do once the card is assembled. Okay, Now, to put this onto here, it is going to be easier than it looks. What I want to do first is only put adhesive on this edge. Okay. Then I'm going to line this up over here, again, giving it that skinny, skinny border, making sure I'm even on those 3 sides. And then I'm just going to hold it till it adheres. Okay. Then what I want to do is I want to pile everything kind of on this side. So I'm going to collapse my cross so it's way over here. Okay, then I'm going to pull this back and put adhesive on this, just this section. Okay, and then I'm going to close it down. Now this is going to ensure that I am square, but it's also going to ensure that it's going to lay nice and flat. When I'm ready to put it into the envelope, it's going to flatten out because that's the way we glued it together. And whether it goes that way or goes this way, they're both going to work. Okay, but if I try to just hover it and put this down, it may or may not collapse when I'm ready to close it. So anytime I'm making boxes or something that has that kind of a, it needs to be squared up. I do it with them flat and then adhere it because I want it to fall naturally where it belongs. Now this piece, when it comes across, I'm trying to center it. And I found the best way to center it is to line this edge up over here. And then when we close it, this edge is going to end up over here. So if I'm trying to align with both of these edges, then I'm going to do very well getting this centered. Okay, so a little bit of adhesive. I'm going to line it up with the edge of this one. And then you'll see when I collapse it over here, it's going to align with the edge of that one. That's how I know I'm centered. Okay. Now you can put any kind of embellishment in the middle that you want. I've seen it done with flowers. I've seen it done with a sentiment. I've seen it done with circles. I've seen it done with labels. I mean, you know, anything you want can go in there. I'm going to use this little label. This in particular label happens to be from the Beautiful Butterflies, just because that happened to be what I kind of had out at the time. But we know that lots and lots and lots of our die sets all have labels. We even have punches that are labels. So any one will do. I'm going to use Blackberry Bliss ink because that's the base that I have here. I'm going to use this Celebrate. This is the same stamp set that I used for last Monday's card. This has the Hope, Faith, and Love in here. And this time I'm choosing to use Celebrate. If you have something that says Easter Blessings or, you know, something like that's going to work. The Easter set I got this year was Storybook Friends, and it said Easter Greetings. And to me, I didn't think that was quite appropriate, but use what you like. I put this white label onto the yellow Post-it note because it's going to give me an easier time in lining it up. If I'm trying to line this up with white on white, I can't see the edges quite as well as if I put it onto the yellow Post-it note. And then, of course, because this is a dark color, I want to go ahead and clean that off right away so it doesn't stain. And then I'm just going to pop this on with some dimensionals. And that's all there is to it. So what do you think? Which card do you prefer? Do you prefer the one that was the shutter card or the pop-up? Jan said she tried the cross card and it was easier than most people think. I agree. Yeah, it looks like it's really complicated, but it's not. And that's one of the things I love about fun folds is trying to find an easy way to do them. There's a couple fun folds I've come across that I have not even bothered to share with you because they frustrated me. And I figured if I make fun folds every single day and they frustrate me, I'm not going to show it to you because clearly that's not going to go over well. Because my whole goal is that stamping be kind of stress-free. This is what I do to de-stress, not to stress myself out. Okay, so that was what I had for today. Thursday, we are coming back for another fun fold card. This one's going to be an easy one because Thursdays are my day for the Simple Stamping or Stamping Made Simple series. Sorry. And this is the one we're doing. And we're using that gorgeous Floral Delight paper. It's very springy and very bright and cheery. I just love it. And this one's going to have a little pocket on the side to hold a gift card. So it's easy, but yet a fun fold. So I invite you to come back on Thursday and find out how we make this one. Thanks so much. Bye.